Welcome to the Shir Dach Yomi, the Shir in Torah Or, on Daf Yud Beis Amud Gimel, starting the Maimer V'Yivdil HaParichas Lachem. So the Maimer is explaining the idea of Bris Milah, saying that what's the idea of Bris Milah? That you have to remove a covering and separation between holiness and unholiness. So where does this separation come from, that you have a separation between holiness and unholiness? It comes from the fact that in holiness itself, in Kedusha, there's separations between different levels, which is the idea of a pareches and the idea of a masach and a parsa. That between each world there's another level, there's a separation between them, and that's what creates there should be another level. And so this is the idea of a parsa and a pareches. So the Maimer is going to start off by explaining the idea of the way it was in the Beis HaMikdash. Then in the Beis HaMikdash there were two things. There was gates that would close, and when the gates are open there were curtains behind the gates. What's the difference between a gate and between a door and a curtain? At a door you can't see anything through, whereas a curtain you could see a little bit through, and it's not a permanent barrier. It's just that it shouldn't be all the light coming through. So the same thing in the order of the worlds. So there's different kind of separations between the worlds. There's one kind of separation where you can't see anything from the higher world, and there's one kind of separation where you can, from the higher world, is coming into the lower world, but not completely, and that's what enables it to be another world. And so from that comes into the possibility of there being a separation between holiness and unholiness, which that's the arla, that's the thing that you have to make the bris milah on. And so that's what the Maimer starts off. V'Yivdil HaParichas Lachem. So the pasuk says that the pareches, which was in the Mishkan, made a separation between the Kodesh HaKodashim and between the Kodesh, between the holiest place where the Aron was and between the other part of the Mishkan where the other things were. So they made the separation that there are two levels of holiness with different rules pertaining to them. Hine Beis Chaim Shar Memalaf Mavur Sheish Parsa Vayin Beis Chaim Shar Zayin Perik Beis Gemara B'Ksubus Taf Kuv Vav Amaraf Isa Yigibel Perichas Hayba Mikdash Shneya Zayin Keneg Zayin Sharam Chulu Pirish Rashi Del Tzniusa Avidi. So in Eitz Chaim it says that there's such a thing called a parsa. The targum of pareches is parsa. The word pareches, which means a curtain, in Aramaic is called a parsa. So parsa is the Aramaic word for curtain. And in the Gemara in Ksubas it says that in the Beis HaMikdash, in the second Beis HaMikdash, there were 13 curtains. There were 7 on the 7 doors which went into the Azara, which went into the main place where the Mizbeach was, where all the Kohanim did the Avodah. So there were 7 doors to get in there, and so on each door there was a curtain, and in the Heichal there was also curtains. So that's how they were 13 curtains. And Rashi says the curtains were to make tznius, to make that you shouldn't see everything, you should only be able to see a little bit. V'hainu ki b'layla hayu hashem nenalim ukadisa mesachas tamid rak beim hayu pesuchim shu nechnasam yotzim derech pesach sharm ve'im echarchem nis pesuchim af bikin hayu perchas achos charlotte tznius chulhu. Why didn't need a curtain? Because at night they had doors, and the doors were closed at night, but during the day the doors are open so that people could walk through. But even though you could walk through, they weren't just completely open so you could see everything. They made these curtains so that you shouldn't be able to see everything all the time, but you have to go through the curtain even though the doors are open. And that's what it means, it's tznius, that you shouldn't be able to see everything. What's the idea of the gates and the curtains in the Beis HaMikdash? This corresponds to the idea that in Malchus of Atzilus there's a separation between Atzilus and Bria, between Hashem, the way that He comes into attributes and that He's connects to being creator of the world, and the fact that there are created worlds. In other words, Hashem, the way that He limits Himself as the creator of the world, and between the created worlds there's a separation between these two levels, between the world of Atzilus and the world of Bria Tzira Siya. And this separation takes place in the level called Malchus of Atzilus, which that's the level where Hashem comes to create and give life to the world, where Hashem is actually acting as a creator in a way that we can see it. So in this level, there's separation, there's these curtains. It says that the gates of Gan Eden are closed at night. Just like in the base of Mikdash, the gates of the Azara were closed, so too in the Gan Eden the gates are closed at night. So, what's the idea that they're closed at night? It means that at night, the revelation of Malchus of Atzilus, this great revelation of Atzilus that comes into Gan Eden, is not revealed in the world. In other words, when the gates are open, that means that what's able to be perceived in Gan Eden, which in Gan Eden they see the light of Atzilus according to their level. The light of Atzilus comes into the understanding of the neshamas in Gan Eden. And so when the doors of Gan Eden are open, means that from Gan Eden you're able to also have an understanding and see what's going on a little bit from Atzilus through Gan Eden. When the gates of Gan Eden are closed, it means that this aspect of Atzilus, which shines in Gan Eden, is not able to be revealed in the world, because it's closed off. So how are we saying that the revelation of Malchus of Atzilus isn't coming into the world at night when Gan Eden, the doors of Gan Eden are closed? When it says that she wakes up in the middle of the night and she gives food to her house, which means that Malchus of Atzilus gives life and creates the world in the middle of the night. So we see there is a revelation of Malchus of Atzilus even at night. Hashem is still creating and giving life to the world at night. So how are we saying that this deep revelation of the Creator through Malchus of Atzilus is not revealed at night? What it means is that in Malchus of Atzilus, the way that Hashem acts as the Creator of the world, there's the inner aspect and the outer aspect. So the Alter is going to give a mashal. He says, just like in a person, there's the higher faculties of the soul, which that's the power of intellect and emotion, which that's expressed in your mind and in your heart. And there's the lower faculties of the person, which that's the ability to digest food, which that's in your stomach and that area. So these are two. So the higher soul powers is called the inner aspect of a person. When you want to speak about a person, you speak about their intellect, their emotion. You don't speak about their digestive ability, right? Because that's only the outer aspect of the person. Even though in order to live, you need to be able to digest food, right? It's essential to survival. But nonetheless, that's only considered the outer aspect of a person. It's the same thing. The fact that Hashem is creating, giving life to the world, that's only the outer aspect. The higher aspect of Malchus of Atzilus is the secrets of the Torah, the higher revelation of the Pneumius of Torah, which is revealed in Gan Eden. That's called Gimel Ration. That's the higher aspect of Malchus. That's revealed in Gan Eden, and that's closed at night. Meaning at night you're only seeing how Hashem is creating, giving life to the world. But the higher aspect of Hashem, the deep secret wisdom of Hashem, which is revealed in Gan Eden, that's closed at night. And that's why at night is considered a time of Gevurus, a time of severity, because this deep revelation of Hashem is hidden. וכמוי באדם שעת שינה שהוא הסתכס וקיבץ החייס מן אדם הוא הנפש וסך הלב ונסתם הכל בשכל שמספש ממנו פנימיס החייס רק כסתר חיוסה וחיצניס ואז הוא דווקא גילי וספשס חיצוניס החייס כמו כוח הזני וכוח המעקר שבנפש שהם בכנס חיצוניס לגבי כוח השכל והמידס ראייה ושמיעה. Like when a person is sleeping, so then you're able to see the separation, the difference between the inner and the outer aspect of the person. When a person is awake, what do you see? You see that they are thinking and they're feeling and they're seeing and they're hearing. When they're sleeping, it's not being expressed, all those faculties. The only thing it's expressed is their ability to digest food. And that's very important. You need to digest food, and that's why you need to sleep. And then, like it says in the Sifrei Refuah, like it says in medicine, that in order to be able to digest food properly, you need to sleep properly. But that's only the outer aspect of the person. So when a person's sleeping, only the outer aspect is revealed. Whereas when a person is awake, that's when the real inner aspect of what he is revealed. This is revealed when he's sleeping. So this is specifically when he's sleeping. That's when the digestive aspect is the digestive faculty is working more strongly, because when he's awake, since his intellect and his emotions are working and he's very busy doing things, so his digestive power is not working 100%, because his main energy is being expressed in his intellect and his emotions. So that's why only when he's sleeping, then the soul's powers is being expressed more in his digestive tract, and that's why in his digestive ability. So that's why he needs to sleep in order to digest food. So this is the outer aspect of the person is expressed when he's sleeping. So to Malchus Vatzilus, at night the doors of Gan Eden are closed. The revelation from Malchus Vatzilus in Gan Eden, which that's this revelation of the deep wisdom of Hashem in Gan Eden, that's the real Pnimis HaMalchus. That's what's really expressed from Malchus Vatzilus. In other words, if you really want to know about Hashem, that He's the creator and guide of the world, you really want to know the deep secrets of the truth of Hashem. You don't want to know how interesting it is that He creates this and He creates this. For sure, that's also an amazing thing. But the main thing is you want to know about Hashem, the deep wisdom of the truth of Hashem, not so much how He's creating the physical world and this world. Hashem is much higher than worlds. So if you're only able to see how Hashem is creating, giving life to the world, that's only the outer aspect of Malchus. So now this deep revelation of the wisdom of Hashem is hidden. It's not revealed outside of Gan Eden. And you're only seeing Vatitin Teref, you're only seeing how Hashem is just creating, giving life to the world. That's from the lower aspect of Malchus. Just like in a person, that when he's sleeping, that's the lower aspect of the person's digestive ability is working. If you am diftachim the Gan Eden, during the day, the gates of Gan Eden are open, which means that this deep wisdom of Hashem, of the truth of Hashem, is revealed in Gan Eden and in the whole world, which that's what it says, Chesed Kil Kol Hayom, that Hashem's kindness is revealed during the day, meaning during the day is a time when you're able to understand more about Hashem. Hashem's kindness is revealed in the world. But even then, this revelation from Malchus Vatzilus is coming through a parsa. It was like in the Beis HaMikdash. There were two things. There was a gate, there was a door, and there was a curtain. And even when the doors are open, there's still a curtain. So the same thing, even though the gates of Gan Eden are open, meaning that there's this revelation of the deep wisdom of Hashem in the Gan Eden and the world, but there's still a curtain to separate that the understanding that we're able to have about the deep wisdom of Hashem is not like it is in Atzilus. It's not like the way that Hashem understands it. It's on a much more limited level. It's only according to the way we can understand it. And that's through this curtain called the parsa. The parsa, chashmal. Shehu mechitzanes abina. Shmal b'shamakif yitzvius zezav, yitzvius denukva kas nasor, umalbisha mitzidehem. Shehu b'charei shalai yinika sachitzanim. Mitach chazraglim hu b'chenes min aliyas hefsik. Bein etzil sevir v'litzira chulhu. So what is this curtain? In the Beis HaMikdash, they had curtains made of cloth. So what is this curtain that separates between the deep wisdom and the deep revelation of Hashem and Atzilus in us? It's called chashmal. So in the next Amud, the Alter will explain more at length what's the idea of the chashmal. But it's the idea that he says, like you have a mashal, when you want to explain a deep idea, so you can't explain it directly the way it is. You have to explain it using an analogy from a physical thing that you relate to. So even though that physical thing is much lower than the idea you're trying to explain, but the ability to give a mashal for a deep wisdom comes from a very high place in your intellect. Only a very smart person can give an analogy for deep wisdom, can explain deep wisdom through analogies. Like it says about Shlomo HaMelech that he said 3,000 analogies. He said 3,000 mishalim. So the same thing, the ability that the deep wisdom of Hashem should be able to come to us, this is through the higher level called Bina of Atzilus, which is much higher than Malchus of Atzilus. And through that's called this curtain. That enables that the deep wisdom of the truth of Hashem should be able to come to a lower level to us. And so that's what we're saying, that there's the Chashmal and there's the Nal. The Chashmal is this, that's the curtain. And then besides for that, there's also called a shoe. What's a shoe? When you want to walk on the ground, you can't walk on your bare foot. There has to be a separation between your foot and the ground. It's the same thing. Malchus of Atzilus, this is called the foot, meaning this is the lowest level of Hashem as He's the creator of the world. But it's still a very high revelation. It's still much higher than the world could receive directly. And so therefore there has to be the separation between Malchus of Atzilus and the created beings. Just like there's separation between your foot and the ground, even though the foot is the lowest part of you, still you need a shoe, you need a covering between your foot and the ground. So between Malchus of Atzilus and the created worlds, there still has to be the separation. In Spezeh Chassidus, this is called the Malach Metat, which is also an Neshama, which was Chanoich, which was an Neshama that Kilokacha Seilakim, who is part of him is a Malach, part of him is a Neshama. It's a long story about who exactly Metat is. But whatever it is, that's this shoe that separates, makes an additional separation between Malchus of Atzilus and the created worlds. Let's sneeze. The Hainu Shalai call Gili Har Shal Atzilus Bevria. Kim Bederech Masach Shamalchus Atzilus Bekia HaMesech V'Nasa Atik the Bria. So this is like what Rashi said at the beginning. That what's the idea of the curtains? That there should be tznius, that you shouldn't be able to see everything, only a limited amount. So the same thing, this curtain, which makes a separation between the deep, infinite wisdom of Hashem and Atzilus, the way that it comes to us in a way that we can understand it on our level. So that's called the tznius. You can't see everything. You can't see all of Hashem's infinite wisdom. Only a little bit that we're able to understand. מחצרנס הבינה, מעקיף לזון, עד שנעשה מנחול, ויצחיים שמלף פרקלף, שהמסך שבין בריא ליצירה, אינו מבינה דבריה, אלא מתפרס דבריה, אלא שבתפרס יש, גם כן חשמל, כמו שכתב רמז, סר פרשת ישרי בשם אדם ישר, ואומנם לקוטי הש"ס, מהריזל, תפת זין, דבר מסחל לכי מיית יש עצמך, כמו שכסבנו כאן אין שם, ומה שכתב ויר פסק כי ביזם הזה יחפר. So far we're explaining that there's these parsas that make this separation between the creator and the created beings, between Malchus of Atzilus and us. And through these curtains, through these separations, that's what creates there should be different worlds and different levels, until there's a separation between holiness and unholiness, which that's the idea of the Arla, which that's you have to take off through the Bris Milah. And through taking that off, you make this great revelation of Hashem in yourself and in the world. So as Hashem, tomorrow, continue to explain more about what's this curtain, what's the Chashmal.